Okay, so we've been talking about solving problems using the quadratic formula today, and so I want to talk about how to solve these word problems. Now, there's a lot of different kinds of word problems here. We have a problem like this one and a problem like this one, okay, where these two, where they just ask me to, they give me an equation and they ask me to solve it. This one and this one, they give me an equation, but they expect me to substitute, 55 and 56, they expect me to substitute in a value for one of them to figure out what it's worth. And then these two, I have to actually write an equation. So I'm going to do one of each kind with you so that we can, figure out how to solve these problems. So I'm going to do 54, I'm going to do 56, and I'm going to do 57. So 54, 56, 57, and if we need to, we'll do 55, 58, 59 in class tomorrow. Okay? So let's take a look at 54. 54 says the function h equals negative 16t squared plus 48 plus 28 can be used to determine the height and feet of a ball t seconds after it's thrown upward from the first floor of an apartment building. At what time does the ball hit the ground? Now, they're asking me when it hits the ground. How high off the ground is it when it hits the ground? How high is the ball? When the ball, it goes up, then it comes down. What is the height when it hits the ground? Okay, the height when it hits the ground is 0 feet. So instead of h equals that, we're going to say 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 48 plus 48t, plus 28. Okay? So now, from this point, now we're going to actually solve this problem, and we're going to work it out. Now, it's already set equal to 0, which is the first step in solving a quadratic equation. Now that we've got it set equal to 0, now we're going to actually write down a, b, and c. Okay? A is negative 16. B is 48, and C is 28, okay? All right, so we're going to start, again, you don't have to, but I'm going to start by finding the discriminant because I know I'm going to need it, and it's not going to kill me it's not a waste of time, and it'll tell me how many solutions I should be looking for, okay? So I have b squared minus 4ac, that's 48 squared minus 4 times negative 16 times 28, okay? And then I'm going to, from there, I'm going to put that all into my calculator, okay? And when I do that, so I put it in exactly like I see it. And when I do that, I get 4,096, okay? And on my little number line that I made, I have negatives, 0, and positives. I have 0, 1, or 2 solutions. That's a positive answer. That means I'm going to have 2 solutions. So it's worth my time to continue. Okay, so now I'm going to actually start substituting into the quadratic function, the quadratic formula. So it's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I'm going to carefully substitute into that formula. So I have negative 48 plus or minus the square root of, now I already know what b squared minus 4ac is. It's 4,096. And that's going to be all over 2 times a, and a is negative 16. Okay? When I put this into my well, first of all, I'm not going to put it in my calculator like I see it. I'm going to do one with plus and one with minus. So negative 48 plus the square root of 4,096 over 2 times negative 16. Knock louder. And then I'm going to have negative 48 minus the square root of 4,096 over 2 times negative 16. Okay? So now when I put those in my calculator, I'm going to start. Remember, alpha y equals is what's going to allow me to put a fraction in. Okay? So I'm going to do negative parentheses 48 plus square root of 4,096, okay, 4,096 all over 2 times negative 16. So my first solution is negative 1/2. Okay, now I'm going to do that again, because remember, I want to copy that because I don't want to type it all in again, and I'm going to change it so that instead of saying plus 4,096, it says minus 4,096. And then I get 7/2, which is 3.5. Well, and this is negative 0.5. Which one of these answers doesn't make sense for a real world situation? You guys are awful loud. Okay, so which one doesn't make sense? This one doesn't make sense because I can't have a negative real world situation. So 3.5 is the answer that makes sense. It says at what time does it say? So it's the height in feet in t seconds, so that means 3.5 seconds is when it hits the ground. Okay? So that's the first problem. That one, they gave us pretty much everything we needed to know. Let's look at 56. 56 is a little bit more complicated. Okay, so for 56, they gave us most of what we need to know. Okay, so 56 says, Marta created a rectangle where the length, oh, okay, hold on a second. Let's do number 57, actually, 57. Let's get 57. They give us more information on that one. 57 says, the length of a rectangular room is 1 foot less than twice its width. Wow. Okay. Wow, that is a lot of information. I'm sorry, 56. Oh yeah, no, 56 is what I want. I'm sorry. Okay, 56 says, so Marta created a rectangle where the length was 5 more than twice the width. She then determined that the area of the rectangle could be found using the function 2w plus 5w, where w is the width of the rectangle. The area is 18 inches. What's the width of the rectangle? Okay, so, sorry, this is 56, by the way. Okay, so 56 says, they give me the equation h squared minus 5, wait, no they don't. Oh my gosh, seriously, I'm sorry you guys. A equals 2w squared plus 5w. And then they tell me that the area is 18 inches. Okay? So, they're telling me that instead of putting a there, I need to put 18 there. So my new equation is 18 equals 2w squared plus 5w. Well, what do I need my equation to look like if I want to solve it using the quadratic formula? Right, I need it to be set equal to 0, so I have to subtract 18 from both sides. Now notice, I don't have all my numbers on the left, but it doesn't matter because all I need is for this to be set equal to 0. This zeroes out. I have 2w squared plus 5w minus 18. Okay, and now I'm ready to solve. So, A is 2, B is 5, C is negative 18. Okay, so now I'm going to actually start solving. So I'm going to start with my discriminant, b squared minus 4ac, which is 5 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 18. Okay. And then when I put that into my calculator, 5 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 18, I get 169, which means I have 2 solutions. Okay. Now I'm going to substitute it in, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So that's negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 169. Sorry about that, you guys. I'm just all over the place with this problem. All over 2 times a. So I'm going to write 2 equations, one where I'm adding and one where I'm subtracting. Okay? So I have negative 5 plus the square root of 169 over 2 times 2 on my desk. And then I have negative 5 minus the square root of 169 over 2 times 2. So when I put this in my calculator, again, I'm going to use alpha y equals to get me a fraction. I have up on the top negative 5 plus the square root of 169 over 2 times 2. I get 2. If I change that so that instead of plus the square root of 169, I have minus the square root of 169, I get negative 9/2, which is negative 4.5. Okay? Now, the problem here says, if the area is 18 inches, what is the width? Well, can the width be negative 4.5? that doesn't make sense in a real world situation. So 2 has to be the answer. The answer has to be 2 inches. Okay, so again, remember, we're not only evaluating the problem, but we're also evaluating our answers. If we have a negative answer, that does not make sense in the real world. Negative length isn't a thing. Okay?